Capital punishment, a government-sanctioned act whereby a person is killed by the state as a punishment for a crime. Dated back in 1608, the first case of the death penalty was the colony in Jamestown. Captain George Kendall was executed for being a spy for Spain. Currently, there are 31 states that have the death penalty in America. The primary method for capital punishment in all 31 states is lethal injection. 16 states have a secondary method of execution, which can include electrocution, lethal gas, hanging, nitrogen hypoxia, and the firing squad.
Cost is an important factor to look over while considering the death penalty. With the death penalty on the table, it leads to guilty pleas, which saves money that would be spent on trials and can also limit opportunities for appeals, while also limiting the amount of people that need to be fed in prison on death row. The death penalty is currently used almost exclusively in cases of murder. This means that a person cannot just commit any crime and receive the death penalty. It has to be murder. Not just any case of murder will qualify for the death penalty either. The murder has to be either a very brutal, drawn-out murder or multiple counts of murder.
Exodus 21, verse 23 to 25 says, "And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe."
This can be related to injustices handed out to the criminals, that the punishment should fit the crime. For example, in the case of a murder, the death penalty would be just. This basically states the effects of karma, which is that if you do something, it will eventually come back around to you, whether it be good or bad. A recent study concludes that 4% of people on death row in America are not guilty. Since 1973, 144 prisoners on death row have been found to be innocent of the crimes for which they were convicted. One problem the death penalty presents is that a botched execution can occur. This is when something goes wrong during the execution and the criminal suffers unnecessarily. Since 2014, there has been a recorded total of 276 botched executions. The majority comes from lethal injection, hanging, and electrocution.
Good painting. The common ground for these arguments would be basically how it is in the United States, only slightly modified. Instead of backing away from the death penalty altogether like we've been doing, we should just use it when appropriate, definitely on a case-by-case basis. Each case decided by a neutral judge who isn't partial to one opinion. A special judge in a new court specifically designed for these cases and definitely proving they were guilty. And if the crime is proven to be not worthy of the death penalty, the criminal would just get a life sentence without a possibility of parole. So far in America, there have been no botched executions from a firing squad, meaning this would be the best option for the death penalty. In conclusion, America shouldn't get rid of capital punishment in its entirety, and instead focus on making sure capital punishment is effective and used for the right reasons.